Hi guys. So we haven't done a Q&A for a while, and I'm happy to do one again. So let's proceed. Let's reply to your questions quite informally. You just write them in the chat, and I will reply to them. So it's quite easy. Let's not overcomplicate things. I think this is the best way to proceed because you'll be able to ask any questions you want. And I'm starting to check out the questions. Uh, the first question is about the companies that use Waves technology. Of course, there are companies that use it. As you know, there are some public projects. Also, there are some projects in enterprise because we have Waves Enterprise as a separate project, basically. And we think that enterprise is going to be uh, the force which will be driving the blockchain adoption in the next few years. So our focus now is on enterprise solutions. And we have very many pre-sales, sales. Some systems are close to production. It's quite complicated because blockchain technology is being adopted not so fast as we all want, but it's going forward. So I would say that we have around 30 projects, enterprise projects in development right now. It's mostly in Russia, but we are going to also target some other markets, Middle East, Asia. So it's going to be happening starting from the new year. Uh, what is there going to be an airdrop for WCT holders, or is that in the past? I think that nobody uh, is banned from doing airdrops to WCT holders. So it's just a very reasonable thing to do because WCT holders are all-time Waves holders. So if you do, as a project, if you do airdrop to WCT holders, it makes sense because your project is going to be visible. If we do any kind of airdrops, I don't know, I can't say. So if it makes sense at some stage, probably yes. At the moment, we are not doing any airdrops, so probably in the near future it won't happen. Uh, uh, so, very important question, and probably I should have started with this. How do you see Waves in the landscape of blockchain platforms against competitors as Ethereum and so on? I think that uh, we need to clear to make our focus more clear now, and I'll try to explain how we are different. So we are trying to actually unify some approaches that emerged in the open blockchain ecosystem with the enterprise solutions. And in this, probably we are quite different. So we see a huge potential in enterprise. And I personally think that we understand how blockchain can be used in the enterprise. We're trying to create some kind of turnkey solution, some out-of-the-box blockchain solution that can be easily deployed, easily used, and if companies want to interact with their customers and among themselves, because we are talking about different companies. Blockchain works quite well when there are several parties that don't trust each other too much. So you need to have several players that use the technology. And in this case, there is a whole new world of IT products which is just emerging. So how it works in enterprise. If you have, for example, a logistics ecosystem, like some supply chain ecosystem with very many players. So how does it work? You basically install a node and another company installs a node, and those nodes start to interact with each other. You don't have to integrate your IT infrastructures. All you have to do is to install some piece of software maybe download some application from a marketplace and start working. And it's quite easy, and people are just starting to realize this in enterprise. There is budgets in enterprise, there is money, there's energy, so it's quite important to become a leading actor at the enterprise blockchain market. And how we target open blockchains. We understand that enterprise is very important and probably is more important for us now, but it will work only if we use the ideas from the open blockchain. And we try to combine the both worlds. For example, we are going to unify both chains into one code base. So we'll have an open chain, an enterprise chain, but it will be based on the same code base soon. And all those sub-chains that are built as a part of Waze ecosystem or as like enterprise blockchain projects on Waze Enterprise are going to use the same code base. And there are also very many other like interactions between different products. Maybe I'll mention them later because there are very many questions. And let me pick another one. Do you see a difference in how exchanges treat Waze after the 6% yield Waze has now on staking? So this is the question which actually brings me to discussion of someone stole my phone. I'm sorry, but it's okay. Okay. So about the staking and leasing. So people are questioning our decision to allow emission of new Waze tokens. Please have some patience because it's not the whole picture. It's just part of the picture, and the whole picture will be unveiled soon as more applications, more DeFi applications are live on Waze chain, because this emission thing will enable a whole new generation of DeFi applications, because no other chain can actually offer this approach, because we have leasing, and we can actually create DeFi instruments which are very interesting for mass adoption, because they will allow you to use only fiat to interact with them. So you, for example, you buy those instruments with fiat, and you receive your interest also in fiat. It's quite interesting, and those instruments will be based on crypto ecosystem, but it will be under the hood, because you will be able to work only with fiat currencies. So if you think that emission doesn't work the way it was supposed to work, please have some patience, because it's just a part of the whole picture. When we have more DeFi applications, which are starting to emerge now, you'll see the big picture, and I think that you'll understand that it was the right decision. When listing for West, on Twitter it said November, but it's almost over. Probably yes, we won't list it in November because there are a couple of days. It will be listed. At other exchanges in December, because there are very many things that we are working on now, and it's in our focus, but there can be some delays. It's not going to be in 2 weeks, but maybe it will be in 2 weeks, yes. If it happens in 2 weeks, I think it's okay. But it will happen, don't worry about that. There are rumors of Waze having funding issues with the current market situation. No new Waze Lab badge grants in a while. Can you give some information about current funds to invalidate these rumors? No, guys, we don't do any more grants, not because we don't have money. we think that it doesn't really make sense at this stage because we need to somehow shift our focus. And we do have a number of applications that were made with Waves Labs grants. And they are working, they're quite successful, I think. But they are like, they are more like prototypes of the real thing. So we want to somehow upgrade our grant program to supporting the actual working projects. Because Waves Lab program actually completed these goals. We showed that you can code and write. Some people took a look at write, wrote some scripts, so it makes sense. It worked. The next stage is to have real working good applications with mass adoption and everything. So we are going to support not some kind of prototypes, but real working products. And it's going to be announced soon. So once again, so it's not about the funding issues. We don't have any funding issues. Like we have around 200 employees on our payroll, and we are moving forward as we always did. So Waves Labs situation and like some kind of pivot that it's making is not related to our desire not to pay people money. Yeah, we just want to use that money more effectively. We want to support not prototypes, but actually working products. Next question. Somebody saying that we are pumping waves. We are not doing that. This is a moon, by the way. It's a moon. Waves platform, is any plan to agreement with local government for digital payment in country? Waves is digital payment. So we're mostly in Russia, as you know. We're going to become more international, as I promised, and we're in this process. As for Russia, so the situation with crypto legislation is quite complicated in Russia. There is some law which can't be passed for probably around a year by now. But it will be passed, I think, at the beginning of the new year. Currently, you don't have crypto in Russia. So legally, there is no crypto in Russia at all. So it just doesn't exist because there are no laws that regulate it. They will be there soon. And of course, we will be actually quite active on the Russian market because we have most developers in Russia, and actually we don't want to hide our Russian roots, and we don't see any problems with like Waves being an originally Russian project. It's a worldwide project which was originated in Russia. Let's put it this way. Will the new Waves exchange have KYC? It will have some form of KYC for some operations when it's really needed, so to say. So the idea here is to enable people to trade their assets in a decentralized way without much hassle, in a safe way. So we won't make it too restrictive. But if we need KYC, to make our product better, we will have it, because KYC is, after all, not for making what you do worse. It's for making what you do stable. Probably you can't do some things without KYC. Initially, the only form KYC that is probably be happening is some form of KYC if you deposit your crypto to gateways, to Waves exchange gateways. There is going to be some amount of Bitcoin or Ethereum which you are allowed to deposit without a KYC procedure, and if you exceed that amount, you will have to do KYC. It's like most centralized exchanges. I don't think that we will enable KYCs for waste trading in any form, but there is of course going to be some form of KYC which we actually already have for token issuers. We have this Beta Token Association that provides KYC and vets in a way the projects, so it will work in the way ecosystem as before. And we will also have token rating where people are allowed to vote for the tokens. And this KYC, which is related to crypto deposits, will work probably in a decentralized way as well. For example, you'll be able to do normal KYC, like with a selfie, but then you get a token after you've passed the KYC successfully. You get a token, and you have to keep it to your account, and then your account is actually allowed to do some operations that need KYC. There is some issues with the sound, so I will have to. Okay, in any case, I don't see the live picture, so I will just shut it down.
But how will you read the questions?
The question, but I can read them from my phone. Mm-hmm. Sorry for these technical difficulties. As always, you have them in a technical company. You always have technical difficulties. It's normal. Are you satisfied with where Waze is standing right now, or would you rather see things differently? Of course, I would like Waze to be more visible, and we're going to be working on this, of course, guys. So I don't like the market capitalization. I don't like that people don't know much about Waves beyond Waves ecosystem. So we'll be working on promoting the Waves brand. And you know, there are some things that actually not very helpful for our development, but we are like overcoming all the obstacles and we are moving forward as we always did. And of course, we made some mistakes. I'm not afraid to own up to those mistakes, and maybe something we could have done better with marketing or with some other things. But we are creating the product, and the product is good. The tech works, and something maybe related to marketing, something related to public relations can be improved. Bear with us, guys. So we're working for you after all, because we want to create a technology for the whole world, and I can't say anything like less because this is true. Can you give the main reason for reducing supply west from 1 billion to 400 million? So about Waze enterprise tokens. Actually, we wanted to reduce the supply because we don't need that much tokens. We won't run any investment campaign for Waze enterprise, like public investment campaign. So all those tokens were actually useless. So we just deleted the token that we didn't need. And I think it makes sense. Why do we have to, you know, inflate the supply when we can just reduce it? And the less tokens we have, the better, actually. Tell us more about rate of change. So let me tell you something about our general approach to all those projects. For example, probably there is some other question that I missed that was related to why we actually do that. You need to understand that we are like a Web3 company. Uh, we as a Web3 company need to prioritize. We need to focus our activity on the core product. And our core product at this stage is Waves Open Chain and Waves Enterprise Chain and solutions on Waves Enterprise. It's going to be unified in one code base soon, but we will be focusing on the core product. And of course, to promote your products and actually to make money, you need to do applications. And we do applications, and we'll be doing other applications, very interesting applications. But they have to be really important, so you continue doing them as like as a core product, so to say. Other applications, they go from prototype stage to production stage, and will have to be separated into different new projects. And this is actually how blockchain ecosystems work. They are quite decentralized, and we want to create an ecosystem. And what is Waves actually? It's an ecosystem of applications based on the technology that we develop. So we might create a prototype as Waves Dex was actually. It was a prototype. And now we want to separate it into a separate project. And it's going to be mostly community-based because you can't actually make money with decentralized exchanges. So, of course, there is a company which underpins the project, but actually it's a community project because this is a way to boost the ecosystem. So we consider it as a quite important project which will help Waves ecosystem grow, but on the other hand, it's not a core product. It has to be separated after all those years, after 2 years of operation. It's time to separate it into a new project. So the same actually applies to other projects that we do. Some of them might eventually be separated in new projects, and we might support some projects from the community, because our goal is to create an ecosystem where you can actually do anything you want based on our technology. So you don't have to ask us. Maybe you can go to us for some like support, some like expertise, maybe even some money, but it's not necessary. You can do everything on your own. And we are just one of the players in the ecosystem which creates core of the technology. There should be, and there are some other players which do applications and which help the ecosystem grow. How about price prediction? Yeah, it's a very important question for everybody. Guys, we are doing our best. Now the price wasn't the focus because we had very many things going, and now we need to somehow, shift our focus, so to say, because the market is changing and the world is changing. So we need to actually focus on what works, so to say. Enterprise, unification of open chains and enterprise, DeFi projects, because DeFi is what is actually driving open blockchain forward. It's quite important. So at the moment, we were not focusing on the price of the token, but I think that our efforts will materialize in the next year. And we actually have a good marketing team now. Probably didn't like our marketing before, but I think now it's better. We have a better vision, and probably had a vision always, but there were some problems with implementation. Now I think implementation is going to work fine as well. So bear with us. I think that it's worth it. Can you please dirty speculators? Yeah, so guys, so I understand. I like traders, and well, you always mention this dirty speculators joke that I've made, but it was a joke, of course. and you can't actually blame anybody for the price or for the problems. So speculation is like unavoidable. You can't avoid speculators because they are what is driving actually the markets now. So I love everybody. I love all the members of this community, of course, including traders. What is your next big plan to take waste on next level? We do have a plan. Uh, as I told you, we have an approach that unifies public and permissions closed blockchains, and we are going to announce a new product that we'll be working on uh, in a core team. And I think it's gonna actually build a bridge between us and the rest of the crypto world. Because we need to develop not only our ecosystem, but we have to work as a part of crypto community on the mass adoption as well. Because what we lack now, not waste, but actually all the people, all the developers, all the businessmen who are in the blockchain now, we lack mass adoption. So we need to somehow unify our efforts. And waste is now somehow separated. I must admit that I won't deny that. Waste is somehow separated from like the rest of the crypto world. You can actually have your ideas why it happened, but this is true. So we have to probably be more open to other projects, and we are going to announce a very interesting thing, very interesting product soon that will help us and help the whole ecosystem of crypto projects, blockchains, you know, produce new value, because there is a step which needs to be made in blockchain interoperability, and we will offer a new solution that will hopefully help us make it much better and make it actually work, because we still don't have really working side chains, and after all those years, after all those white papers that have been written, we don't really have blockchains interoperating easily. So it's a next step, not only for us, but for the whole crypto world. And we're going to be making it, and we're going to be announcing it quite soon. And another thing which I really find important is enterprise adoption. And I think that we have something that nobody else has. And we will try to show it to you very soon. We have very many projects in the works. We have an approach that might actually work in the enterprise. We are working on more like, compact, more like out-of-the-box solutions. We're going to create an ecosystem which is based on the core product, and there's a marketplace of applications for different sectors. For example, you can have a logistic application, a finance application, some kind of banking application. You just install it in the network of interactive nodes, and you're good to go. So it's a new generation of IT systems, and it's actually emerging right now, and we are a part of this process, and I think that we are driving it forward. Who is the owner of the Waves Exchange? I think this is the Waves community, because it's not really a for-profit project, I must say, because it's pretty hard to make money with decentralized exchanges. They work as a part of the whole ecosystem. They boost the value of the ecosystem. But you can't really make money with the decentralized exchange by itself. Is there focus on Russia or on the rest of the world? We are focusing on the whole world, and actually to do some prototypes, you might pick any country. Since most of our developers are in Russia, most of our prototypes are in Russia, in enterprise sector, of course. But as I said, we consider ourselves to be like worldwide projects based and originated in Russia, and we don't and can't hide that fact because it's true. How I will try to pick out the most uncomfortable questions. How would you comment on the often discussed topic of ways using bots for pushing transaction volume, user base, and other relevant metrics? I don't really understand the question because basically you say that there can be no bots. People do bots, and I don't understand how bots could help somebody in the marketing of their product. If you just inflate the metrics, I don't think it's gonna work. And if you don't allow people to make bots, it doesn't make sense at all. So guys, we don't use bots for marketing because it doesn't make sense. Why so high price difference between Binance and Waze DEX? Probably you mean fiat tokens. Probably, I'm not sure, but okay. So I'll talk about fiat tokens. So we have fiat tokens on Waze DEX, and it's quite old project, which was initially called Coinomat. It was like the first instant crypto exchanger that worked like 4 years ago. And later it was transformed into some service that supported exchanges of fiat in Waze DEX. Currently, we want to actually shut it down, because it was a separate project, but now all the gateways will be maintained by Waze Exchange. And at the moment, there is some transformation of this Waze tokens, WUSD, W Euro. We are looking for a new partner, a new banking partner, and we are talking to several payment systems and banks. So we will find a new partner quite soon because we have to pick one. So they're going to be working, and those tokens will function as before. So there is some arbitrage right now due to this because there are some delays in payments, but it's going to be fixed as soon as we have the new partner, and it's going to happen soon. So don't worry, those tokens work. There are like stable coins backed by actual money, and we will somehow make it work in such a way that this project is supported by somebody who makes money from it. So as for example with Waze Exchange and other products, it was a prototype actually. So we created a prototype of a stable coin backed by fiat. Now we want to have a partner. We want to have a partner that actually makes money and develop this project further. So it's gonna work, guys. So this price discrepancy is probably due to this. When you merge West and Waves, what will the total number of waves be? No, we won't merge the tokens. It won't happen. It doesn't make sense, actually. The code base for all the blockchains, public and permissioned, will be the same. The tokens will be separate. So, and the ecosystem which we are developing now can support chains and interactions with them, side chains, sub chains. which have tokens, which have Waves token as a native token, which have other tokens as native tokens, which have no token at all. It's also possible, you know. So we won't lump Waves token with West token together. It won't happen. It doesn't make sense. Why is the Waves team invisible again on the new website? Okay, I want to give you a bigger picture of what we do. So as I told you, we are creating an ecosystem where there are actors, there are players that use our technology and build applications. And we are in the process of moving from more centralized company to a decentralized ecosystem, closer to probably what Ethereum has, for example. Yeah. So there's going to be some kind of a foundation after all quite soon. Yeah. So we're working on different models. It can be association, it can be foundation. There are different legal structures which we are trying to consider. They can also be underpinned by some kind of a DAO. So there can be some smart contract that actually works as a decentralized governance mechanism. So you have this DAO, and you have some legal entity that actually connects this DAO to the real world. So that's what we are trying to do, and Waves is going to be represented by this foundation entity. Yes, and in Waves there's going to be very many developers teams. One of them is the team in whose office I am now. There will be also other teams. So probably you know all our developers, and you will see familiar faces and the foundation/association website as well. Will you place a trading pair on WSD, USDT in new exchange? Yes, I think that Tether is going to be in new Waves exchange, and actually, as I understand, Waves DEX works in such a way that you can trade any pair. You can trade any token against any other token. So nothing prohibits you from trading WCD to Tether. As always, I'm picking out the bad questions. So the questions that are trying to, to ask something not so easy to answer. You conducted a buyback program in 2019. Watching the current price, this initiative might not have worked out. What is your conclusion about the buyback and the current market cap? Yes, actually, the market conditions for altcoins are quite bad. Yeah, so we couldn't actually hold the price, and no matter how many Waves tokens we were buying from the market. But now we have more Waves tokens, which is also good for us. And actually, those tokens were released to miners, not to us. Some other miners are making money from those tokens that were bought back, which is a good thing after all. What is Waves' funding situation, and why don't you give insights like other projects, for example, Lisk? Funding situation is all right. What can I say, guys? We are working as always, and we were working 3 years ago, and we will be working in 3 years as well, and maybe in 33 years too. Why we don't make some public announcements of financial standing? It's quite an interesting question, because I actually understand that it will be quite hard to do for us, being at the core, being a Russian company, and if we do that, I don't know how it could somehow be correlated with our tax like returns and everything. On top of that, we have several revenue streams because Waves is not only like the project that raised an ICO 3 years ago. We have enterprise projects, and it's quite hard to separate all those things. Probably what we want to do is to become a public company, you know, eventually. And in this case, we'll be forced to reveal all our financial results and all our financial standings. So this is the goal. This is a noble goal that we are targeting. We want to become a public company. In this case, we're going to be obligated to reveal all this information. Now it's quite complicated, you know, because not from like point of view of hiding something, but it's quite hard to do operationally, I would say. Do sovereign Russian internet restrictions affect Waves? It just moved up. Wave development and functionality. So the question is about whether like the situation in Russia restricts us from developing. No, it's not actually. So the situation in Russia is not so probably good in some ways, but you know the whole world is changing. So I wouldn't somehow single Russia out now. So you can live here, you can work here, and it's not much different from the other world, from the rest of the world, I would say. So what you see on the news might somehow be exaggerated. That thing with like separating Russian internet from the rest of the world can be, you know, viewed in a different light. So basically, what they are trying to do, they are trying to make this infrastructure like independent. So they are trying to route the internet traffic through Russia only, which is maybe a good thing after all, for the stability of network connections. So we are doing fine, and of course we will be moving more towards like global expansion. So we're going to have some development teams, not only in Russia soon, not some like freelancers or some people who just code on Waves, but some like proper teams in different offices. Do you still believe that Waves will be in the top 5? Why not? I still do believe in that, guys. What do you want me to say? I'm like fully invested in Waves development, so I'm doing this 24/7 more or less. So what would you want me to say? That I think that this project is going to fail? I will never say that, because we will succeed. How you expect sorry, how you expect a successful internal ecosystem while you are not supporting your first ICO projects like MicTrackNet, SimDuck, OceanLab, Vito, OceanLab, and Vito are dead, others are nearly dead. I mean, how can we make them alive, guys? So we can't make the product for them. We supported them with expertise, with marketing, with money. So if startups fail, they fail. I don't understand. Because we are trying to support all the projects that need support, but we can't do the product for them. Sorry. There will also be an IEO on Waves Exchange. I think yes, why not? Sure. And you'll be able to ask all those questions from Waves Exchange guys, because they are responsible. So I'm going to be an advisor, and I'm going to be actually helping them with like advice. But I'm not an operational guy for Waves Exchange or for other projects that will have grown out of prototypes and became a separate projects. Good question. Do you consider the ambassador program a success? No, I don't. I don't. So it works in a way, yeah, but it's more like grassroots movement. So there were different approaches to ambassador program, but I must say that they kind of failed, you know. And now we will do another attempt. And I think it's gonna work now because we have had lots of experience with different approaches to ambassador program. And we do still have some ambassadors, and we are very grateful to them for their support. And we'll try to, you know, to make this network of our ambassadors bigger and like more useful because it's very important actually. And this thing, it emerges from itself, you know. So people want to support the project they like, and you have to make sure that their efforts are like effective. So you have to give them something, have some like expertise, maybe some money, and we'll do another attempt, as I said, and I think now we'll do it better. I have replied the price questions. Probably I don't have to repeat myself. Congrats for the very interesting CoinDesk article. Can you give some insights on the status of the FSB certificate, current waste projects, and government collaboration? Okay, this FSB certificate is a very local thing related to Russian market. So you have like a local cryptography in Russia, which is vetted by the government in a way. So you have to go through some procedure which confirms that your code base, your product is like secure. We are going through this procedure at the Russian market now. It's quite important, but it's only for the Russian market. And as I said at the beginning, we have very many projects in the works, prototypes, projects close to production in different sectors. It's like oil, finance, logistics, many things. So, and it's going to materialize in more visible projects quite soon. We have half of the team is working on enterprise solutions now, maybe even more. There are questions about some like specific projects that did ICOs and waves. I'm not sure that I'm really, you know, entitled to answer those questions because I can't be responsible for other people who use waves technology, and this is like a conscious position, you know, because we're creating a decentralized ecosystem, and we can't be responsible for each and every project on it. Yeah, we have to create an ecosystem that somehow enables good projects and prohibits bad ones, you know, but you can't be responsible for each and every project. So probably I will try to avoid those questions. Hope you understand me. Now, Waves Exchange is launching on the 2nd December. Any special benefits to Waves holder? I think that basically what I personally would like to see there, and I can't enforce it because it's a separate project. But what I'd like to see, for example, of course, you know Binance Coin, BNB, so probably Waves should become Waves Exchange Coin in a way. So, for example, if you hold Waves, you have smaller transaction fees, smaller exchange fees, or there's some other benefits. That would be cool. What about management issues in Waves? Do you feel some, you know, there are always management issues in companies that grow fast. And Russian environment is also not very conducive to, you know, to growing very fast, you know. So things happen, but we are going forward, and we just can't stop. So we solve the management issues, we are solving the marketing issues, and I can't say that it all went according to plan. The plans are changing, but we are very optimistic because I don't have reasons to be pessimistic, to be honest. What are your thoughts about? So it's about a specific project, but I started to read it, so probably I'll reply. What are your thoughts about the current fundraising process of Tokenomica? Not even 10% raised for only 30 BTC. Seems like there is no public interest in the project. So probably you have to ask them. As far as I understand, they are targeting more like private investors, and they would just want to capitalize the project. So they just want to show the price, through doing some public campaign, because it's very small, as you understand. So, if it's 30 BTC, you understand that it's nothing, because it's quite a big team. Like they have like legal fees, they are going through licensing process in Malta and in other countries, so they spend money, and 30 BTC is nothing for them. So probably they have to somehow make their marketing better, but I don't think this is very, it probably doesn't look good, but it's not really too harmful for Tokenomica, because they're focusing some private investors, and I talk to them, I know them, and as far as I understand, they're going to have some pretty big news soon. Some pretty big collaborations and some very interesting products from big companies that they will list on Tokenomica. But I think they do have Telegram channels, so you can just ask them, because as I said, I would like to comment on specific projects. It's not right, because they're not mine. So somehow they work with our tech, but that's all. There is no other relation, so to say. Where do you see Waves in 10 years? I want Waves to become the biggest IT company that works with the technology of the next generation of IT systems. And I want it to become a public company. Maybe we'll do some kind of, STO, or maybe not, like some kind of public instrument, public financial instrument, and we will become one of the first companies that trades like normal companies, that trades on the blockchain. So we want to become a public company which focuses on the new generation of IT systems, which are based on the blockchain technology, but not only. So blockchain is just some kind of a layer on which other technologies have some interaction that is beneficial, that is synergistic, so to say. Yeah. So it's also about AI, big data, Internet of Things, and many other interesting technologies that are just emerging. And blockchain enabled this decentralization approach, enabled a new vision, a new generation of IT systems, which is just emerging now. And I can see this, maybe not everybody is able to see this, because we are in the middle of this process. And it's hard to understand what's happening when you're in the middle of things, But if you take, if you take like a bird eyes view on the thing, you understand that there is some tectonic shifts happening right now, and there is a new generation of IT systems which is somehow inspired by blockchain tech. So it might even not be the way in which blockchain is the most important part, but it will always be there. Some kind of decentralization, some kind of a protocol running in a robust way will always be there. So you just can't turn the system off. It's about more stable, more transparent systems. And they're not only good for transparency, they are also good for keeping your costs down. So they really cut down on costs in enterprise. So it's a very interesting approach that is just finding its place in the world right now. And we want to become the leader of this new generation of IT systems. No, the new exchange is a big topic currently. You said who the stakeholders are, but who is funding it and who is the management. So currently we fund it. I won't hide it. In future, projects like that will be funded probably. Yeah, I think what I want to do to fund them from the association or foundation. So there's going to be some voting procedure, maybe even through the DAO, which will fund those projects. For example, we can take our waves. We do have some waves, as I understand, and we can lease them out, and we can use the leasing profits for supporting the projects. One way of operation, so it's quite easy to understand. For now, we do fund it because it's so we now act as a foundation, as an association, which supports the whole ecosystem. Since Waves Exchange is very important for the ecosystem, we support it. Are you going to promote more in the United States? Yes, we have to do that. So we always postpone that. We wanted to do that this fall, but actually, with all those changes, internal, external, we will have to do that later. But we will be doing this. Let us somehow, regroup a little. So we'll have a more clear structure now, public structure and internal structure, which is more, which works better in the current conditions, and we'll do more international promotion, of course, including the US. Do you get frustrated sometimes? I'm actually, guys, beyond frustration by that point, because I just want to make everything I do work. So I'm like, the next step beyond frustration. Yeah, I just can't get frustrated now, because I always know that I will have to keep doing what I'm doing no matter what happens. So I don't have a reason to be frustrated, and I don't have an incentive to be frustrated, because I always know that I will be doing the same thing. About the Waves price and our tech, yeah, there is a big discrepancy between the price and the tech that we have. It's true, So if you have the same notion, go buy some Waves, Question about our partnerships. What about GABA and signed partnerships? So there is this GABA group that wanted to do some separate blockchain projects, and after all, they decided to do everything on Waves Enterprise. So now we are starting a logistics project with them, because they are quite big in logistics. They are shareholders of a big logistics company, and we need their expertise to help us with logistics, because logistics is probably the second most important application for blockchain after financial services. It really makes sense in the systems where you have so many actors, completely different actors, as in logistics. So instead of integrating their IT infrastructure like peer-to-peer, so each company has to connect to another company, it makes sense for them to install a node and start operating those nodes and start to interacting through those nodes. So logistics is a very good way for blockchain technology to gain mass adoption. And GABA's group is helping us with logistics project, which will be quite international, by the way. So it's going to unify not only Russian companies, but it will be quite international. Either waves buyback from exchange profits, it might be, so you have to talk to with exchange guys. I think it could make sense, but decentralized exchange doesn't make so much money, you need to understand. So there is some fees that come from matching the orders, but they're quite small because there is a fixed fee, and I don't know. So if there are really many trades, it's like millions of trades per day, and Waves can support that on chain, as you know. So probably we can push like 5 million transactions per day in Waves. The fees will be considerable, and yeah, it makes sense to buy back Waves using the fees. Do you have any information about this on Coinbase? No, not at this stage. Probably we have to do more American promotion for this. Good general question. In 2019, we have seen much negative sentiment and trust issues towards Waves, and even though we have amazing tech. You would like to address towards the community to rebuild trust. So guys, you must admit that our tech works, and the price is probably not reflecting what we have. Yeah, but it might be a good thing after all. So I don't think that there can be some trust issues, because basically what we promised we've done. I can't really. Maybe there was something with Vostok ICO. It's quite complicated, but so there are some things that has to be changed on the go, so to say. Yeah, so it happened the way it happened. It could have been done much better, but okay. To be honest, I did my best. Maybe I've made some mistakes, but I never meant to make them. So even if there is some issues of something that was announced, for example, like public ICO for Vostok, and didn't happen, it might have happened, but because it's like business, it's interacting with the outer world, with people inside the company, with some entities outside the company, with some different entities, so you can't control everything. But you must admit that all the tech that was promised by us was actually complete, and it works. So I don't really think that you have a reason not to trust us. If you do, probably you don't follow Waves, and because guys, we work for you as always. Now, do you really think that the current CMO is doing a great job? I believe it's not the tech, but the marketing, which is a very weak point for Waves. It's true. It has always been close to what you described, so to say. Yeah, so we did have marketing issues, but we have actually a new CMO now, and we have a slightly different approach. I think it's more more focused on the goals that we want to achieve. So I think that after all the years of the marketing that could have been better, we are close to doing a good marketing. Please give us some time. About the West tokens, what tokens we have, what tokens investors have, we will make it more clear, like maybe even tomorrow. We will like show who owns what. And please, because there was a blog post and it didn't really correlate to what people saw on the blockchain. It will be fixed. So stay tuned. It might happen even tomorrow. Please don't ask me about some other blockchain projects not related to Waves, because you know I might have some opinion about them, of course, but why do I have to, you know, say what I think? Because it's not going to be good. You know, if it's very good, I will say that they're great. If they're bad, probably I would just keep my mouth shut, because it doesn't make sense if I say anything negative about things that I don't have any connection to. This index swap thing, so it's mentioned. So it's not related to Waves, guys. I can see very many like attempts to troll me somehow on Twitter with the old next NXT assets that I issued on NXT. It's not related to Waves, it's related only to myself. Yeah, so, but I can of course reply. So there were some tokens issued on the old NXT chain. For example, I issued probably the first stable coin on NXT ever. Like it was even traded at Polo, if somebody remember that, and replaced later with Tether. So and there were some tokens that were issued, and we did a swap for Waves token 3 years ago, even more than 3 years. Some people didn't swap, and maybe I could have handled this better with them, but I have had maybe too many things on my hands the whole time. So there was this idea that they will be swapped into some like corresponding tokens on Waves, but it was quite hard to do because this correspondence wasn't very obvious. And as far as I understood, some people bought them from NXT exchange and tried to somehow, you know, somehow to produce them and ask for the swap. And we couldn't swap them into corresponding project tokens, so we have made some payments to those accounts. I think one token wasn't swapped. It was an index token that represented top 20 as far as I can remember, of tokens at that time. Why it wasn't swapped? Probably I thought that we would have something similar on Waves with the new gateways, and then the swap can be used for some kind of a marketing. I think that will be the case, because this is a product that can be done with the new DeFi applications. So we'll have an index, some kind of an index sooner or later. I think it can happen quite soon. Because now we have, as you know, probably, we have Neutrino, and this is like an algorithmic stable coin. The next step is to create, it will be created by us or by the community. Maybe we'll have to create some prototypes to, you know, to incentivize the creation of new apps. The next step is the creation of some kind of synthetic assets, which somehow, you know, reflect real-world financial assets and can be packaged, can be bundled into some kind of an, you know, aggregated asset as a crypto index. So, for example, an asset that represents top 20 tokens. That will be done, and all those index swappers. If you can wait for this. If you don't want to wait, contact me. You know how to contact me, and we will just make some like payment to you. So as we did with other NXT tokens that were not swapped 3 years ago, and people who did that 3 years ago probably made a lot of money with it, because as you know, Wave's price rose quite significantly at some stage. Wait, I lost the questions. Just a second. You said focus is on enterprise currently, thus West, but how would Wave's token benefit from that, besides a shared code base? Can you show the picture of a common ecosystem where both tokens benefit? You know, in ecosystem that we're trying to build, there can be many tokens, and Wave's enterprise token is just one of the tokens that could be there. So probably we won't issue any more tokens, but someone will. So of course we try to create like a combined ecosystem where you, for example, can use Wave's tokens, Wave's tokens in enterprise projects, and maybe you can use Wave's enterprise tokens in open projects. There is going to be some correlation which is beneficial for the for both tokens, for both worlds, for open blockchain and closed blockchain. So, and the product that I mentioned, this bridge product that will be announced soon, will be quite helpful. So the goal is to make those tokens somehow, you know, benefit one another and somehow add value to one another. So I don't think they can somehow have some like competition or something like that. So there's an ecosystem where can be many tokens, but you use your application tokens, your utility tokens in all participants of the ecosystem. Tell us about scalability in Waves. Yeah, good question. The questions I like, because I would prefer to talk more about tech, of course, guys, because I understand business, but I like tech more. I must say this. So our approach towards scalability, we wanted to do some kind of a, you know, in a way close to what Cosmos or Polkadot does, but then we decided against this because I'm not really sure that this is the right way to achieve scalability. Because from what I see in enterprise, I don't think that this is what people need now. So I don't think that, for example, you need to have some like common consensus for all your chains, like in Polkadot. I'm not really sure. I don't see why you have to have this. So our focus now is on scalability through having many different chains for many different applications. And those chains have to interact in some way. And we are working on the way they interact. About the scalability of like the main chain or like of an individual chain, probably we'll be looking, and even we are looking in some sharding approaches. But what we now have in sharding is quite limited. You know, you have basically the same idea in different disguises, so to say, yeah, represented in different ways. Sharding idea, which is currently unknown, is quite limited in my opinion. So probably we need to make some new step, you know, to come up with something new. Because what I can see now is not so disruptive, I would say. It won't allow you to create really scalable systems. For example, you can have one chain that supports like 1 million transactions per minute and can execute any code and can hold and keep and store any data, you can't have this. So it probably has to be one chain, one system, not side chains, not sharding. It has to be one blockchain. It won't be blockchain, I think. It will be something else. But it will have to be built on totally new tech. So I think that we have to look beyond the current approaches and try to come up with something totally new. Personally, I would like to do this. And what we have now allows us to solve all the problems that enterprise faces. So they can solve quite a number of problems using the current blockchain tech. You just have to find the right way to use it. You won't be able to do very high throughput systems, but probably don't need to do that. So probably we will never be able to do that. We won't be able to do high throughput systems on decentralized footing. It might happen because centralization works very well when you have to deal with millions of transactions. But there are some other scenarios where decentralization works, and we are focusing on these scenarios. And we think that the current tech is about sufficient, to achieve the goals that enterprise faces with using the blockchain tech. Franz Schumacher has asked me many questions, and he's asking me whether I want to drink a beer with me sometime. Sure, yeah, because I can drink beer with anybody from this community, and I can talk about the kids and football. Yeah, I can talk about kids and sports as well. Sure, you seem like a real nice guy. Thank you very much. You too. Would you hold token price on some price level? We don't do that. Whatever somebody might tell you, we don't manipulate with price, guys. Why? Even if we wanted to do it, because it's quite hard. You need to have more money than we have, I think, because those markets need more money, and we would need to do some, like trading fund, and probably it's not what we want to do, because it's not so easy. Yeah, so we don't manipulate the price, and I understand that you are really unhappy with the price. Actually, I'm unhappy as well. So I think the new instruments that we enable on Waves will help the price to stabilize or even grow. The new DeFi instruments, because I think DeFi is quite important, actually, whatever people might say, and I am pretty skeptical myself, actually, because all those DeFi apps existed, have been there like for years, actually, But now there is focus on DeFi, so it's not bad. It's not a bad thing, actually. Why it is important? Because you can see that in the open blockchain, we don't have that many applications that work, and basically it's all about money in the open blockchain. So it's about value transfer. It was Bitcoin first, and Bitcoin really works. And now there is this next step where you can make some fancy mechanics using those decentralized money. It's a very natural step. It could have happened earlier. But because I've been following this arena for 5 years, maybe, I can see that some very obvious things take time to really pick up. It's quite strange why this is happening right now. It would have happened years ago, but it's happening, and it's good. And I think that DeFi projects actually on Waves will help Waves price be more stable and even grow, because there are some mechanisms. For example, if you take a look at Neutrino. And basically, I won't hide this because I'm not doing this project. I'm kind of advisor for this project. But I came up with the original idea for Neutrino. And if you look closer at the Neutrino dynamics, you understand that it's very helpful for the price of the basis token. That is waste in this case. So it was made with the idea of helping waste price be more stable. And it's not only Neutrino, I'm sure that there's going to be more products that will use this mechanics. So let's see how it develops. I think that even not inflation, but because it's not inflation, it's emission on waste will help the price in the long run. You will see this because it's not about inflation, it's about monetary policy. If the community thinks that monetary policy can be tweaked, it can be tweaked. And we don't promote the emission of new tokens because you can always vote against the emission and you can reduce the amount of waste that are being distributed to miners by just voting every 100,000 blocks. So it's not about inflation, emission, it's about decentralization of the monetary policy, which I think nobody in the blockchain space has ever done yet, except us. Sorry, just a second, I lost the questions again. Please give us reward in waste for joining AMA. Maybe next time, guys. We didn't think about that actually. It's a good idea. Would you like to see an euro on Neutrino soon? I'm sure it will happen, of course, very soon. Somebody's going to do it because it's very easy to do, and you can just, replace the oracles that that give you USD feed to the oracles that give you euro feed, and you're good to go. What are your future plans to get back a bit closer to the community? Are we seeing this AMA more frequently? If you think it's important, I will be doing them. Let me hear feedback, guys. If you think that I'm helpful, that I'm bringing some valuable information across, then I will be doing this every week. If it makes sense, it has to make sense. So, guys, I'm here with you almost an hour and a half, and I can go on. If you want me to go on, then ask some more questions, like the questions you haven't asked yet. And you can ask any questions you want, and they can be absolutely anything, and I will reply to all the questions. I will pick up, the worst question. I'm scrolling backwards. I found some questions. Can I stake West? Yeah, it's stakeable, but the network is permissioned. So eventually we will open the access to some, but it will be permissioned because it's a permission chain, so administered. So somebody has to vouch for you so that you can become a miner. But you can stake West in the sense that you can lease it. Yeah, you can lease it because Waze Enterprise blockchain is based on the Waze technology. So there is leasing as well. MRT, people are asking about MRT. MRT is dead, guys. We're gonna reward MRT holders soon, and it makes sense not to sell it or not to forget about it just yet. But once we have a mission, MRT actually lost its meaning. So it worked for a while, and those who held it will be somehow rewarded. But it doesn't work as something that is needed by the Waves main chain just now, because you don't need to support mining with this token because you have a mission, and miners are doing quite well, I think, now. Why do you think that price is not important right now? Price is important, guys, but you know, we are doing our best to somehow stabilize it, because we did buyback, but we can't burn money on just supporting the price. We have to come up with marketing, with some even technology that will help the price grow. So it's important, and we bear that in mind. West will not be listed in November. It will take several more days with other exchanges, but it will be listed. November is over in 2 days, so no. A single and nice DeFi on Waves that actually works and is known in crypto community. You know that Write language was released about half a year ago, so it's quite young. So the apps on Waves is quite young. We were just listed at the apps radar, for example. They're quite young. Give us time, please. Continuing that question, what's a point of making DeFi on Waves instead of other solutions? As I told you, DeFi is just, you know, a next step in mass adoption of blockchain tech, and we haven't actually come up with the DeFi idea. It's just a reality. You have decentralized money first, and you have some mechanics that works with those decentralized tokens as the next step. And what we have now is DeFi. It's like natural development, you know, it's not our thing, so we just support it in a way in our ecosystem. So it's absolutely natural, and we don't hype it, we don't like promote it. It's just a natural development, you know, so do you have feedback from Vostok West investors of first rounds? Are they happy with what is happening? They feel fine, actually, because they are there for the long run, I would say. And our enterprise projects are developing quite well, you know, so what do you think of Coinomat's 50 euro plus 1% fiat withdrawal fee? Is it fair? As I told you guys, the banking infrastructure for WUSD, WEuro is changing, and basically not only infrastructure but probably the owner of the project. It's time to do that. It's time to separate it and make like a good fiat-backed stablecoin, not algorithmically backed as Neutrino, but like old school fiat-backed. And for that we would need a new partner, and that partner will be maintaining the projects further. So the fees will be different soon, but it's gonna work. Is Waves Labs still granting projects? Can you see if those projects were a success? There was some game development news a few months back, and the news not all projects about that in the pipeline. Waves Labs is on hold for a while. Why? We want to somehow shift our focus to supporting projects that are actually, you know, sustainable, make money, and they are not prototypes but something really working. And for that we need probably a little bit more expertise in the Waves Lab and some other approach. It's going to be launched soon, and don't worry about that. But we won't be probably just giving out grants at this stage through Waves Lab. We might have some grants program, but through the association. Waves Lab will be supporting like more, like, you know, business-minded projects. So they have to make money. So it's maybe not even for us, but they have to be sustainable, and they have to go beyond prototyping, you know. So what will be the price of one WSD and WSD/USD trading pair? So it has to be one, you know. So it will be one once this transition is over. When the next marketing campaign will start? No one talks about Waves now that that ambassadors stop their work. The ambassadors didn't stop their work actually, but the new campaign will probably start around the beginning of December when we will have the meetup in Berlin. We will announce some things there, and you can actually consider it the beginning of our new marketing campaign. When you're saying somehow, it sounds like you're not sure what to do. I won't be saying somehow, never again. Yeah, because I'm sure what to do. Scam, okay. No. How is the USA expansion going? As I told you, we had to hold off a little with this. Now we will have a more clear marketing strategy, and of course the US will be like cornerstone of the strategy, because open blockchains, I'm not sure if we can be successful as enterprise chain and solution in the US, but open blockchain is more universal, so open blockchain can become quite important. So we'll be promoting it as well. So it should be this spring, I think, spring 2020. Why TradeSys is on the advisor board? You mean probably Waves Exchange? TradeSys guys were really active in Waves ecosystem, and I think they're very helpful. So they're really motivated by this new product, and I think they can really help it grow and be really important for Waves ecosystem in general. I replied the NXT swap questions. You were unattentive. Guys, I feel that I'm starting to repeat myself. So 5 more minutes and we are over. Please ask some questions that you haven't, or somebody else hasn't asked. Please ask them in the next few minutes, and then we are done, because I can be with you as long as you want, but I'm starting to give the same replies to the same questions. Can you say something about the Waves Exchange management? It's a different team from the Waves community. You will see the familiar faces on the Waves Exchange website. What's the plan for increasing volume at Exchange? There will be some market making, guys. It's obvious. Market making is not like pumping the price, it's just providing liquidity. It's very different from pumps and dumps. It's just, you know, liquidity thing. When are you coming back to London? I go there from time to time. I think I should be there in December. Yeah, about the gaming. So the gaming, there is some misconception. So as with DeFi now, people are asking why we're pushing DeFi. No, we're not pushing DeFi. You know, there are just applications that emerge naturally. So people want to do DeFi now. Waves is a generic chain, and people find new ways to use it. It's not an application-specific chain. It's not focused on one application. It's a generic chain like Ethereum. So we're not pushing DeFi or gaming or whatever. We were promoting the fact that you can do some games on Waves. And it's quite successful because there is a number of games, and some of them are just launching, some of them are working, and I think that overall it was a good initiative. It was not about gaming actually, it was about creating the apps that could be useful. And as you know, don't have that many areas of usage in current blockchain, in open blockchain now. So you have decentralized money transfer, DeFi, gaming. So it's all about money after all. You look tired, take care of yourself. You're right. So I must be finishing this and maybe take care of myself. Guys, please provide some feedback, whether it was helpful. I tried to reply to all the questions. Probably I couldn't have replied to all of them. I can do that later again, but please tell us whether it was helpful. If it's helpful, we'll be doing this regularly. Thank you very much. Have a great day or whatever you have in your time zone. And ride on waves. Bye, guys.